Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Effective Resume Thursdays. We're very glad you're with us. It's April 8th, 2021. Please note this event is being recorded. It's currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career FW Facebook page and on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view. By participating in this event, and if you happen to post a comment in the chat box or have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your comment, name, and picture to appear. We ask for those people who are on Zoom to please use the speaker view, which is what's in the lower left-hand corner. And you're going to want to have your chat box open because the speaker, we use the chat box pretty extensively throughout the presentation. If you're on Zoom, as soon as you think of a question, please go ahead and just throw it right in the chat box. And for those people watching on Facebook right now, please just enter your question in the comment field. I'm monitoring that monitoring the feed and be sure to get those questions answered. We are going to review 1 or 2 resumes today live towards the end of the presentation. You can submit your resume using the chat box by clicking on the little file button. But please remember your information will be on Facebook and YouTube. So if you want to delete your header information, you can just delete those couple lines at the very, very top. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. I founded Career FW back in 2008 to help the unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I started CareerUSA.org to help people outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. I'll tell you about our upcoming program tomorrow at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team along with Carol since 2017. Towards the end of this session, we are going to pick 2 winners. We'll be giving away a month's use of unlimited use of jobscan.co, which is where you can compare your resume to a job description. So hang in there to the very, very end. And we've got 2 speakers with us today, Brickell, who's a certified professional career coach, and Susan Graye, a global talent acquisition leader. So ladies, thank you for being with us, and take it away.
Great, and thank you, Jeff, for that invitation. And I will share my screen, my PowerPoint slides. And I'd like to welcome everyone to the fastest hour in the week. I tell Jeff that this hour just usually flies by. And let me get to the beginning of my presentation. I was flipping through the slides to make sure I had everything. And yeah, we have lots of great content today, and I'm really pleased that Susan Graye is joining us. She's a talent acquisition leader that I've always admired, and I'm just always pleased when she can join us today to share her tips and insights. So again, welcome to the session. We've designed it to be very interactive and fun. So if you could open up your participant box. I like to open that up and see who all's out there. And then also especially open up your chat box. And if you have any questions throughout the session and any comments, feel free to share those, because everybody has different perspectives about resumes. We're going to be sharing some ideas and tips and tricks. And your job is just to kind of sit back and enjoy the show and listen to all the different ideas and apply what makes most sense to you. And I recommend that you set your phones aside. Now, if you get a phone call from a recruiter or a hiring manager, you can take that call, but set your phones aside and just really enjoy the session, because we designed these to be fun and interactive. And the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. And so we do want everybody to use the chat function. And to get us all warmed up, I'd like for everybody to go into chat, or those who are on Facebook Live, into the comments field and answer this question. Do you customize your resume for each job that you apply for? So every time you apply for a job, do you customize your resume? So I'll pause for a moment. When you see me looking this way, I'm looking at my second monitor. I have the chat box open. Yeah, thank you. People are starting to answer the question, and thank you. Somebody has submitted a resume. Excellent. So I'm going to take a moment and save that in my folder for resumes so I can easily pull it up. Resumes, there we go. I'm going to save that one. And so we may have time to do a second resume. So if anybody else wants to send me their resume as an attachment in chat, we'll share that at the end of the session and do a little bit of free resume coaching on that. So thank you for the first person that shared theirs. I'd like for everybody to get in chat and type in an answer for this. And somebody honestly said sometimes, and somebody said no. And what we'll do is we'll show some examples, and I'll be interested to see if you feel like, you know, at the end, if you think there's value in customizing your resume. As a former recruiter, I would say there's absolute value in that. And we'll talk a lot more about this. So again, I'll be sharing some perspectives about resumes from my perspective, based on my background, which is I'd worked for over 30 years as a hiring manager. And I see another resume just came in. I'm going to save that real quick. Good, so we've got that ready to go. And so I worked as a hiring manager, and I loved doing interviews, and I coached other hiring managers about interviewing. And then when I took early retirement in 2012, I was working for Hewlett Packard Enterprise Services, and I felt a calling at that point in my career to take this retirement package and then get out in the world and help people find jobs. So I had gained 6 years of experience then working as a recruiter, both in agency and corporate environments. And I placed people in a variety of different roles. And so I got a lot of experience reviewing thousands of resumes and presenting hundreds of resumes to hiring managers and hearing their feedback and reactions. And then also, like Jeff, I volunteer for the Dallas Pit Crew, and I usually sit on one of the mock interview panels once a week. And that's where any of you can sign up by sending an email to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com, and you can submit your resume and a job description, and we'll put you on set you up with a mock interview panel. We do those over Zoom, and we've loaded information about the Pit Crew in the chat box. And also, I've been certified by the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches, and I'll be going to their conference in 2 weeks. Yay, 2 weeks, and I'm hoping to gain, you know, some new insights regarding resumes and applicant tracking systems and everything else. And I'll be taking lots of notes, and hopefully I'll have new information to share. Okay. And now I'd like to give Susan a chance to introduce her background.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. So my name's Susan Graye. I'm based here out of Houston, so just a little bit south of Dallas. I have over 20 years experience in the talent area. So everything from talent attraction through recruiting, onboarding, inclusion and diversity, and assessment and selection, as well as, ways to make a difference in our community. My background includes success developing and implementing innovative strategies to drive, high performance, inclusive and diverse teams, as well as looking at the candidate and hiring manager experience. I'm currently consulting with a multi-billion-dollar startup, which is exciting, focused in terms of mobility and transportation, and having a great time in terms of really working with individuals. Carol had asked what I'm doing, interviewing, helping with the selection, as well as finding top talent. So hoping, through those experiences, I can share some tidbits that help each of you in your job search.
Excellent, great. And we've got a good size audience today. And if any of you are from outside of the Dallas area, type in what city you're in chat, especially if you're in the Houston area. Yeah, let us know where you're located. And now we'll talk about hot jobs for a moment. I'll speak for a moment and then ask Susan to share any information about hot jobs that she's recruiting for. And I recently retired from Next Step Recruiting in the Dallas area that focuses on the Dallas market, but a lot of the jobs can be done remotely. And these are some examples of some of their recent hot jobs. And they really look for accounting, finance, HR, administrative types of jobs, and then also sometimes recruiting, or not recruiting, HR and administrative types of jobs, and they also have an IT division. And Susan, what types of jobs are you recruiting for?
Yeah, let me talk a little bit about what I'm directly recruiting for, as well as there's a couple positions where I know we're recruiting. So if you're interested, would love to talk about it. I am recruiting for some senior level IT roles. So as I mentioned, the company I'm recruiting for, Vontier, just went public October 9th. So we're currently looking for somebody to set up a cloud COE, Center of Excellence. That's a VP of Platform Services, a Director of Platform Services. We're also looking for a Director of Digital Workplace Services. If you can think about Microsoft 365 collaboration, tools like this, video conferencing, identity management, we're looking for that area. I do have a CIO position that we're nearing finalizing, but if you're in that role, let me know. Specific skills that I'm looking for that is omni-channel. And then on another note, we're just starting a search for a contract product marketing manager that can be telework. It is working for a subsidiary of Vontier by the name of Insight 360. A great opportunity. We sell software as a service. So if you think about going to fuel your car, it's the whole software that makes that run, showing what's happening there, what's happening in the, if you go to 7-Eleven and the Slurpee, it's the automation behind it. So it's that product marketing manager. The last position that I'll spotlight is there is an executive assistant position reporting directly to the CEO, but that one is out of Raleigh. And as I mentioned to Carol, I do know there's a company that reached out to me looking by the name of Allegion, ALEGION. So if you go to the website, they have quite a few marketing openings, companies based here out of Austin. And I talked to the CEO just a week ago, and I know they're actively looking. Thank you.
Excellent. And anybody that is interested in any of these roles or connecting with Susan, Susan, is okay if people reach out to you on LinkedIn to connect?
Yeah.
I think there's several people that would like to connect. So if you could reach out to Susan on LinkedIn, that would be great. And also for me in the Dallas area, if you're in accounting, finance, HR, marketing, administrative jobs, please reach out to me and I can get you connected with a good recruiter. And if you don't have a recruiter kind of working for you as part of your job search, you need to add that. That's just an additional resource for you. They can help you with your resume, give you reactions to the resume, keep you updated about the job market. And if you're a good match for a job, they can advocate for you and get you in front of that hiring manager. It's just an additional good option to have. And good recruiters build good relationships with their clients, and their clients will take their candidates. So don't feel like just because they're a recruiter and they're asking for a fee that you're not going to get anything. But the recruiters I know do a lot of business. So anyway, I encourage you to reach out to Susan and then reach out to if you're interested in any of these local Dallas jobs. Good. Okay. And then here's our agenda today. We'll start off with resume tips from Susan, and then we'll go into to review some basic information about the one-page bio, which is different than a full resume. We'll talk about that, talk about the concept of a master resume. We'll quickly review key components of a resume. And then also we do have the 2 sample resumes, and thank you to those in the audience that submitted those. And we'll talk about what we like and any ideas for feedback. Oh, and before we move into Susan's tips, I'm going to talk about applicant tracking systems real quickly, just because this is always a hot topic, because these are the systems when you're applying online, your resume has to get read by these systems. So you need to create and make sure your resume is ATS friendly, because the ATS systems are going to be reading and parsing the data in your resume. Take your name, your job titles, the companies, and put it in the database. And so you don't want to have any special formatting or characters, even boxes, tables, lines, borders, using the header and footer. Don't do any of that, because that can cause issues with parsing the data. But you do want to make sure your keywords in your resume align to the job. Otherwise, the recruiter or the ATS won't be able to tell that you're a good match. That's one of the reasons why we encourage aligning the keywords and customizing your resume for every job application. And then Jeff mentioned at the end of this session today, he's going to give away 2 licenses for jobscan.co, which is a great tool to compare your resume to a job description. And then often in these systems, you can upload your resume as an attachment. In that version, you might want to make it a PDF version so it protects the formatting that the recruiter will be looking at. But when you're submitting it for online, you want to use a native MS Word format, because some systems like Workday don't read PDFs. And then sometimes they ask for a cover letter. I just say, as a former recruiter, I never read any. So don't put a lot of time in them, but if they ask for them. Susan, do you have an opinion about cover letters?
You know, it just depends, right? You know, is the best thing I can say. You know, I do know, like, I'm working with Taleo right now. So you know, my preference is I'll look at the attached resume versus I don't even look at what loads from, you know, what you're putting in. So if you do have an ATS where you can do an attachment, definitely do that attachment. It's easier for the recruiter to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can remember as a corporate recruiter, I had a job opening and I'd pull up the database and start clicking through the candidates, and I only had time to click on that attached resume. And I'd look to see if anybody was referred, and I'd click on them first. You know, I would just zoom, zoom, zoom. Then somebody said define special characters. Yeah, good questions. So anything that's like special formatting, like underlining boxes, tables, and special customized bullets like that are stars or things, but default bullet points are fine. And I double checked that last week because somebody had indicated they had issues with bullet points in the resume. So afterwards, after last Thursday's session, I looked at that person. I asked them if they could send me the resume. They didn't have any bullet points in there. There were just some special characters on every single line in a resume. I'm not even sure what it was. That's what was causing the issue. Standard bullet points are fine. Tabs are okay. I think they work fine because that's just a standard thing on the keyboard. So thank you for that question. Okay. And then regarding these ATS systems, they all work differently. And when you install them, you can install them differently. So you may hear conflicting information about these ATS systems. So basically just kind of keep a big picture. And when you're uploading your resume, just try to upload as clean a version as you can without any lines and boxes and formatting and pictures and things like that. And then if you have a chance, like in Workday, it gives you the opportunity then to review your data that you've submitted to make sure it's correct. And then the most important thing is contact a person at that company. That will increase your chances dramatically for getting an interview, because otherwise your percentage chance of getting an interview is only 2% if you just apply online, but it goes up dramatically up to about 50% if you reach out to somebody who can refer you to the recruiter, or if you don't have a friend at the company, reach out to the recruiter who posted the job if you can find their name. And if not, go a level up, go to a leader, recruiting leader, and reach out to them and let them know you meet the requirements. That's like the secret password, I think. Susan, did you ever have, as a recruiter or recruiting leader, did you ever have people call you and say, hi, I just applied for your blah, blah, blah job and I meet the requirements? What was your reaction when you got a phone call?
So, yeah, so let me talk about it, right? You know,
Yeah.
Number one, I'm experiencing it right now because I am aligning my name to my postings. So, you know, I'm okay if you send me an email, but I think it's really important you understand, like, I have jobs that I have 300 applicants. And so the amount of time I can spend, you know what I mean, really depends. And sometimes it'll tell you how many candidates on LinkedIn have applied. Pay attention to that, you know? So, you know, as you're posting, if it shows there's a huge data pool, the recruiter may or may not be as responsive, but do understand that may be the reason why, and have nothing else to do with it. I would go in, you know, to your point, that LinkedIn piece is huge. The phone calls, the random calls, I'm not a big fan of, because I know for me, you know, I'm going to leave this meeting and I'm booked every 30 minutes, you know, so usually if you get on somebody's calendar and they don't have the time, and you don't say, hey, can we set up time to visit? They're going to be less likely to be a friend. But if they are somebody you know, there's somebody that works at the company, sometimes they can get an employee referral bonus. So just customize your approach. And Carol, I know I shared this one early. The big companies, it's all requisition number. You know, they may have 20 product marketing managers, but they have like 10 different divisions. So who's working on that requisition may vary. And what's going to help the recruiter, or, you know what job it is the requisition number. as well as if you're going through a friend that's at the company, they're going to get paid if there's a bonus tied to that requisition number. So I can't reference and knowing the job number, the requisition number, the position number is huge.
Yes, I updated the slide when I heard you speak before about that. Yes. Thank you for that. And somebody has asked if the length of the resume matters when you're going through the ATS system. Not really, but the sweet spot is for professional resumes, typically about 2 pages. If it goes on to a 3rd page, I think it'd be okay. And some more technical jobs or government jobs, they like longer resumes. Okay. See code for a standard bullet point. Somebody is sharing with us the ASCII code for a bullet point. Thank you.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's
yeah,
great.
the key is readability, right?
So, Susan, if you'd like to talk through your resume tips, and I'll try to.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So,
try the slides.
First one, is when you're doing your resume, don't make it mirror the job description, because you do want to align how your background aligns. But what you don't want to do is just show what you did. What you want to do is focus on your results and accomplishments. So if it says we're looking for somebody that set up a cloud COE, you're showing I established a cloud COE and this was the results of what I did. This was the scope of it. It was global. This is the number of people. So you're providing that detail, but it should be a bullet related to the job description. And accomplishments. I met with an internal candidate yesterday. If you've gotten awards and been recognized internally, externally, I just looked at a resume of somebody today. She was like won an Orby award. I'm going to talk to that person. So if you've been recognized, this is your chance to brag. Get it on your resume. All right, the next one. Spotlight features and benefits. So, you have to look at the hiring manager and the recruiter and think about, there's a saying, especially in today's world, what's in it for me, WIFM, right, with me? What's in it for them, right? So really look at it and say, why should this company hire me? So if it's a technology company, you have technology industry experience, that doesn't show up, that needs to show up somewhere. If it's a mobility, if it's global, look at it and say, what makes me stand out from other people? And it's up to you, pretend like, I always use this one, but pretend like you're at the waiter at the restaurant. You have the menu, but they sell you on these special dishes. Help them understand why you're the one they want to talk to, why it's worth their while, what the ROI is of some time with you. The third one, utilize action verbs to start each bullet, and there's a list here, but, organize, participated, drove. And this is a really nice reference for you. It's probably something I should have out even when I'm doing emails. Carol, we talked about pages of resume. I don't think it's the pages as much as make it clean, make it concise. This isn't a novel. And if you have too many words, nobody's going to read it. So, look at every time you're doing a bullet on your resume, go, what words can I take out to make this easy to understand? And, if you have a family, you have great friends, send it to them, have them read it and go, do you know what I'm trying to say? Because sometimes you're so close to it, you may not see it the way other people are. They may not get it, especially if you're highly technical. All right, the next one. And I guess you got the point there, right? I always say this, keep it simple, make them want to talk to you, but don't provide the recipe. This is not your, 10 cups this, 7 cups this. It's like, help them understand, the basics. And the other thing to keep in mind with this is your brochure. So I notice there's some people in here that are marketing, people. Pretend like you're a salesperson. Put on your resume what you want to talk about. If there's things you don't want to talk about, you don't like doing in the past, you don't need it on your resume. Focus on what you want to do in the future.
And Susan, we had a question about the action verbs. They're wondering if we could send them. I know I just Googled good, action verb resume verbs. If you, when we get to a point, if you have anything you could share in chat, we just had a question about that.
Yeah, I think that, there's that document as part of that slide that you shared, Carol. I think we could send that. I mean, I'm looking at that going, I probably need to print that for myself and have it up because it's a
Okay.
really good one. I mean, strengthened, suggested, summarized, you know what I mean? It's like really
Yeah.
good, strong action words. Patented is great, right? Did you have something that was, you know, an innovation you put through that changed the industry you're in?
And maybe, I don't know if maybe one of you could copy that link somehow from the PowerPoint and put it in the chat or something
Yeah,
possible.
I'm working on that right now. So
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Okay, that's great. So thanks for that
Did
question.
you have it? Yeah, I copied it. I can paste it to you, Jeff,
Okay,
hopefully.
talk about that. Okay, here we go about customizing your resume. What do you think about this, Susan? Do you recommend it?
Oh, totally. You know, customize your resume to align to the position you're applying for. So I look at resumes all the time, and what you don't want to do, don't have words on your resume for the sake of having them. You might want them on your LinkedIn profile. But if you're a leader, I don't need to know every single technical skill you have, right? Customize it to what you're looking to do. So if it's a global leader, talk about what regions of the world you've dealt with. If they're looking for cloud, help them understand the type of cloud you've worked with. Is it Azure? Is it AWS? Is it, GCS? Was it hybrid? The more you can align it, the easier it's going to be. And always keep in mind your audience, your recruiter that's looking at this, their job is to review resumes. I even do a spreadsheet on the side to look at who's the best fit and determine, if they have 200 people, who am I going to interview? And then how do I get it down to 3 to 5 people for my manager? Because they don't have the time to interview any more than that. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, just a summary of your top resume tips.
Yeah, there you go. And the one that's not there that I saw on somebody else's from another slide is I do love, because I put it on my little spreadsheet. If you do have a LinkedIn profile, include that URL. It really makes it very easy as a recruiter. You have the URL there for the hiring manager to learn a little bit more about you. And Carol, I know we have this later, but I can't stress the importance of that profile. If you don't have recommendations on there, get them on there. There's a ton you can do there. Whole other session, I know, but have that LinkedIn URL there and make sure it's a strong URL.
Yes, excellent, good.
Oh, LinkedIn profile, not URL. Thank you.
Yes, okay. And thank you, Jeff, for sharing the link to the really good list of action verbs to put in your resume. Okay, good. And now I'm going to talk real quickly about this concept of a one-page bio. And I know I've asked people before, and I'm curious for the people attending today, if you have a one-page bio that you use in for networking and such, type yes into chat or comments if you currently have a one-page bio. And these are different than resumes. Resumes, really signal you're looking for a job, and they show your work history and they're a job search tool. But a bio really talks more about your career accomplishments, major accomplishments, and can be used in a variety of situations. And so it can be used in a situation when you've reached out to somebody at a company you might admire and are just asking them for guidance and feedback about your job search. And you don't want to scream, "Do you have a job for me?" But you just want to introduce yourself. And so these documents that can be used in a variety of different ways. And here's an example of one, because I was looking for an easy template to create a one-page bio that you don't have to do a lot of fancy, software or Adobe or anything. This is just Microsoft Word. One of my clients used this and he got a lot of great feedback about it. So I said, "Can I borrow your format?" And he let me borrow it, and I just plugged my information into it. It's okay to have your photo on a one-page bio, because this is kind of like a social networking tool. Like LinkedIn is a social networking platform, whereas a resume is a job application document. And so it's subject to more employment law issues, and you don't want to create any bias or anything. So a picture is fine when you're social networking. And then you want to have keywords that align to the jobs you're looking for, a very brief background or summary, professional biography with just the company names and dates, education, certifications, contact information, and then some just brief headlines about major career accomplishments that you've had aligned to the skills required in the jobs that you're seeking. So we'll share a copy of this template, and you're welcome to use it as you wish. Susan, in the work that you do you see many people using a one-page bio, or do you see any benefits to using it? Or
It's a great question. You know, I very rarely see it. I did meet with somebody last week that had one. I think it could, definitely be a benefit. What you see more, like we talk about, is the LinkedIn profile than that. And a lot of times people using their profile as an opportunity to provide their bio.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can do that.
Yep.
Yeah, and these were used, I think, more when people were meeting face-to-face and doing an informational interview. They might just bring that as a document or something. So, but you're right, when we're just going online, you just click on the LinkedIn profile. That is correct. And somebody's asking for a copy of this is the bio document that we've loaded in. In a moment, we will also load a sample resume template into the chat so everybody would have access to that. So thank you for that question. And the concept of a master resume, I learned this from Jeff. So Jeff, if you have a moment, if you'd like to share.
Yes, so a master resume. One of the great things about a master resume is you don't have to think about what you used to do because you've got it all in one place. So go back and take I know I have a file folder of all my resumes back from the 1980s when I first started looking for a job. And if you go and build a master resume, meaning take everything you've ever done and put it in one big document, it could be 10 pages, 15, 20 pages long. Every job has, 15, 20 bullet points on it. Then, you don't have to go back and think about, well, I did that in the past. When did I do that? So if you go and you take the time to build that, when you see a job description, you take that master resume, save it as, and then go through and delete everything that is unimportant. And you just so all you're doing is submitting the information, the details of what is relevant to the job description. Everybody's done a lot of really great things over the years, but the recruiter is just trying to find somebody who matches the job description they're looking for. Make it easy for them so they want to call you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, a lot of my clients in my coaching practice are starting to do that. So now we'll talk about just standard resumes, and really your goal is to make it easy for the ATS to read it, and also for a recruiter to look at your resume and within a few seconds say, yep, that's the kind of person I'm looking for. So as Susan mentioned, you want to pay attention to the formatting, less text, less is more with resumes. And you want to make it easy with lots of white space. Overall length, we've kind of talked about that. The sweet spot tends to be around 2 pages. And then number of years, we've got a little polling question. Those in Facebook Live can type in a letter here and we can launch a polling question for those in Zoom. How much experience do you show in your resume? This is kind of a personal choice, and there are different options. A, B, or C. A, all of your experience. B, the most recent 10, 15 years, and then chop it off. Or C, where you show details about the recent 10, 15 years, plus a section called prior relevant experience, where you might list the company names, but you don't have to put the dates. And a funny thing is, and people who've heard me talk, when I was 59 years old and looking for a job, I had a resume with all my years of experience, but I was networking with people that knew I'd been at EDS forever. So I just put it out there. So I did that and it worked okay for me and I got the job, but not everybody does that. When I was a recruiter, I saw a lot of option B, where people would chop off their resumes after about 10, 15 years. And it would cause confusion actually during the interview process. If I asked a question, tell me about a time you worked with a global team, and if they mentioned a company name that wasn't on their resume, I'd go, well, I don't see this. It would just cause confusion. And I felt like something's missing here, something's being hidden. And so I found the hiring managers, as I was presenting resumes, they actually preferred option C. And the template we're sharing is an example of option C, where you focus on the most recent 10 to 15 years, then have a heading and then list other relevant companies that you work for and job titles, and you don't have to list the dates for those. And Susan, I don't know, do you have any comments about these, how much information you should put in your resume?
Yeah, I mean, I think the key is having relevant information, so it really is, we talked about that earlier, but it include the key points that align to not only what the position is, but what you want to be doing. And I think that's important for you when you look for a job is you may have done certain things, but if you don't want to do them going forward, don't apply for jobs doing them, really focus in terms of what you love to do and how your experience aligns to what the company's looking for. And the fewer words, the better. I mean, in terms of overall length, I had somebody with a longer resume. The manager was fine with it. It's just make sure what you have there matters, right?
Okay. And then somebody said their job coach said to remove relevant experience. I'm not sure if I understand that. Maybe the prior relevant experience. Some coaches are advising people, chop it off, only show 10 years. And as a recruiter, when I would see those, it really did cause confusion, and hiring managers are like, okay, what's missing? And then another comment was that somebody put their previous experience in the cover letter. Now, remember, most recruiters won't read the cover letter, and most hiring managers won't. So they'll miss that. And you're not wanting to age yourself. You don't have to put the dates on those prior relevant jobs. Like if you worked at IBM, 30 years ago or something, I mean, you could put prior relevant experience, IBM. And if you worked for a big 4 accounting firm, big 8 back then.
There's no right or wrong in a job search. You sort of have to take everybody's advice. What do you feel comfortable with? And that's what you apply. Because if you ask 10 people for your advice on their resume, you're going to get 15 different answers. And if you go back and ask them again a month later, they're going to tell you to change what they already told you they liked before. So you just sort of have to get comfortable with something. Listen, I would go back and ask that person, well, why don't you want to show prior relevant experience? What's the drawback there?
Yeah. And if it's because of the dates, just take the dates off. Now you have to put the dates in a job application, but on your resume, you don't. And
I agree. And even on the job, even in the job application, it only goes back so far, but you can easily summarize past positions and if there's relevant work you did. But do be careful. I mean, you don't want your biggest accomplishment to be 30 years ago, right? You need to be able to talk about relevant things that you've done more recently and how you've continued to meet challenges.
Yeah.
If you have a Zoom interview, you kind of already age discriminate yourself at that point.
Zoom or in person. And so it's a matter of showing interest in the job and passion for the job. Yeah, I interviewed at the age of 59 for a job and 55. Yeah, so it's you just have to show passion.
And I have to say, for me, it's energy versus age, right? So it really is attitude. Do you go in high energy? Do you still have something to prove? I mean, I've seen low energy and lack of engagement and whining. I don't know what else to call it. Kill more people, go in smiling, positive, and build that rapport, because that seems to blur everything, right? And if there was an age discrimination, chances are you weren't going to get invited to the interview anyway. So if they invite you to the interview, that means they want to talk to you. But go in, do whatever you can to be in a great mood, high energy, and do your research. Know the company and know why you're a good fit.
Yeah, excellent. That's really good advice, Susan. Thank you so much. Good. So now we'll talk about key components of a resume, and we'll address that one question that just came in about showing core competencies at the top in the summary. Yes. And let's see. So we'll talk about these key components of a resume, and you may have other components as well, like certifications or publications, but we'll review these really quickly so we can get to the sample resumes. So you do want a heading at the top, and it is recommended to have a good professional email address that looks like like a formal professional email with your name. And so to make it easy for recruiters to find it in their emails and such, and then have your LinkedIn. Now, some ATS systems like Workday, if you have a live or a hot link there, like your LinkedIn URL, it'll throw off the parsing of the data. So just type it in as text in most cases, but that varies based on the ATS system. And you do not need to include your physical street address. Okay. And smiling faces for camera. What's that, Jeff? You just put into chat. Oh, do you want to say? Yeah, put that up. It has a hole.
All right, so yeah, so I have over my camera a little smiley face. So I sent you all a sheet of smiley faces so that right over the camera, right over the hole of the camera, I remember where to look and that I'm smiling at people. So you'll have, the sheet's got a whole bunch of different size ones. Pick the one you want, but you have to put your own hole in it though.
Okay. So it'll fit over the camera. That's great. So yeah, so to come in with that positive energy. Excellent. And then at the top of your resume, to address somebody's excellent comment, is you do want to summarize your professional experience, leveraging the language from the job description or keywords. You don't want to cut and paste or anything, and then have areas of expertise. I love that title. Some people say key skills or core competencies. And then list out bullet points spaced out, again, with lots of white space. So it's easy to see the key skills that you have that align with the job. Susan, did you have a comment about any of this or not? I was just.
And yeah, in terms of, you know, I mean, the white space, totally. I talk a lot about that. You know, for me, and I know different people have different pieces, I'm okay with the top part not being there because I don't read it. You know, I'm really looking to see what you've done. But, you know, if you do have information here, short, succinct, you know, I'd rather see you, and this is just me, do a brief description of the job and then have your bullet points. Help me understand what, you know, and always think in threes. What were the three outcomes? So what was I responsible for in this job? And describe, you know, that position, you know, so if you look at the job, you're a business analyst, you know, globally responsible for you know, and then these were the results, and then you can do your bullets. But, you know, really up to you and whatever you're going to feel most comfortable with.
Excellent, good. And then in some resumes I see, especially people that have to meet targets year over year, like sales roles, recruiting roles, business development and such, to have a key accomplishments section that kind of summarizes that track record at the top of your resume. And that is a and that is an optional section you can have in your resume.
Yeah, and with that part, you know, Carol, I mean, my personal preference when I place salespeople is I would probably do it less year by year and do, you know, 5 out, you know, consistently attain quota, you know, in excess of 110% of quota, you know, or the number of years you exceeded quota, because, you know, if you do every year, you can put that in the detail down on the resume. But what you want to show is President's Club member, these 5 years, you know, show, you know, number 1 out of 50 salespeople in the company, right? Close company's biggest deals. So when you think about your accomplishments, if you're summarizing them on the top, summarize them, don't detail them granularly. It just would be my recommendation. And I'm with you, accomplishments, awards, get them on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, these should be kind of your career, not job by job, which you'll have.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good. And then in your professional experience, I just have plain bullet points, and Susan, you provided some additional ideas as well. So I'll explain this real quickly, and then if you have any additional comments. We've heard some feedback from other recruiters that like to see a one-liner for each company that you work for, especially if it's a company that may not be very well known, so that the recruiter can see right away what industry that you worked in. Some recruiters really find that helpful. And you want to make this professional experience section really easy to read with clean bullet points, action verbs for jobs in the past. Please use past tense. You wouldn't believe how many times I see resumes with verbs in all different formats, ing, whatever. Please make those consistent. And any current job would probably mostly be in the present tense, but if you've completed a project, there might be 1 or 2 bullets that are past tense. And then you don't want to have too many bullets per job. I'd say 5 or 6 max. More than that, we aren't going to read, and they need to be headlines focused on the results and not read like a job description. And then one activity I go through with candidates or my clients regarding their resume is sometimes I'll read a bullet point, and if I can ask the question, so what, or what was the result, and get to an answer, sometimes that can become a stronger verb that you can use. Because in this situation, I had a candidate that had a bullet point where he developed Visual Basic programs. And I said, so what? And he goes, well, it helped me reduce data migration time and eliminate errors. And so he updated his bullet point to reflect that stronger verb showing the result. So you could ask yourself, read your bullet points and ask yourself, so what? What was the result? And see if you can get to a stronger verb. And then if you have multiple roles at a company, please show your dates for the roles like this and show the full time you're at the company. Because if you do it the other way around and put the dates right justified for each one of the jobs, then at a glance, and remember, recruiters are just scanning your resume. At a glance, it look like a job hopper. And this way it shows the progression within the company. Be sure to list your education and software, especially any software packages that are required in the job description. And if you don't have a bachelor's degree, don't put bachelor's, just put the name of the school and the city of state, maybe the area of concentration. And then here is one of my favorite, rather detailed slides, but this is so important. On the left, we have a job description. There we go. On the left, we have a job description. And on the right, we have a resume. And what I recommend every time you apply for a job, look at the job description, spend just a few minutes, especially the lower part that'll be called requirements or qualifications or here's what you bring. Look for the words or methodologies or software packages they're looking for. And if you've got that experience, make sure you're putting it on the resume. And then read through their description, look at the heart of the job. What are they looking for? Somebody who can document business requirements, put that right up front and center. And they're also looking for people who can improve processes. It gives you ideas of keywords you can put in your areas of expertise. This takes just a few minutes to do this once you get used to doing this. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. We've got a few minutes to show the resumes. And thank you to those who have submitted resumes. Just a second to load it up. And I'll do a new share. New share, good. It's not saying enable edit, so it probably won't bump me out. Good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down this resume. And now that we're all experts on resume formatting and writing, I'd like for anybody in the audience, if you see things you like about the resume, make a comment. If you see any suggestions for improvement, feel free to type those into chat. So I'm going to scroll down. There's an opening section, professional experience with months and years, related experience. And I can't tell if that's previous or related. Is it the same time? I tend to like the word previous if it's before. Military, thank you for your service there. Marine Corps, wow.
I'm gonna say it's probably transferable skills.
Yeah, I mean, that's always great background. Then education and training, there's a spacing issue there. See, as a recruiter, I would go, And then there's a font issue. So that makes me wonder about attention to detail. It's a different font. Okay, activities. And look at all those skills. Okay. So these skills these are a mixture of functional job skills like software deployment, presentation skills, earned value management, and then also software. At the bottom of the resume, I would tend to put the software, unless it's a highly technical role, maybe at the top. But at the top of the resume, I'd put those core competencies, areas of expertise, and put those functional job skills that they might be looking for the job that you're looking for. And then in LinkedIn, it's okay to use first person, you know, make it conversational. I'm a certified whatever, but in a resume, you want to make it formal, third person, you know, just say certified project management professional and accomplished technical manager, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
I would keep it down to 3 lines.
Yes. Yes. Susan mentioned nobody reads that.
5 lines is going to be too much. So just read every word and go, do I need to have that word in the sentence? If not, delete it. Just keep deleting words until you get it down to 3 lines.
Yeah.
And I get rid of the I go certified project manager professional, you know, so I never would
I
start.
can barely hear you.
I am, you know, as I'm looking at this, you know, leader that drives vision. You know, some of the fluffy stuff I take out. So what, you know, because you can discuss that in your resume. I mean, your resume in your interview, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, you want to just
how you can do change, you know, if you've done something regarding change, you know, put that there. But, you know, in terms of the, you know, description of yourself, I really would focus in terms of certified project manager professional. And since it's a CPM, do in parentheses CPM, because recruiters will search under acronyms sometimes when they're, you know, in a LinkedIn, in a job platform, doing a Google search. So anytime it is a specific certification, make sure and put that certification where you list it, because it's something they'll search by.
And I
is
have
it a PMP certification or?
There's a CPM too, so it's I don't know, but
it's not clear.
If they are, it says a PMP, right? Yeah, so they should put PMP next to it.
Well, I can't see what kind of certification it is.
Yeah, and this is certified project management professional, so it looks like
PMP then.
PMP, yeah, you definitely want that there, because what you're generally searching for as a recruiter is the PMP, not the full words.
Right.
Yeah.
The other question I have that would stand out to me is, so from September 2009 to July 2020, you were a customer project manager 2. That was the only role you had for 11 years. And I'm going to go, something doesn't seem right.
Yeah. So if you started off as a project manager 1, it'd be good to list that and put those dates in parentheses like I showed it in the example and we have in the template, and then list a few bullets there, and then list this job with a few bullets, and that shows really good progression. So, and then I think you could probably take off the months on your resume. It just makes it cleaner. Less is more. You could take off the months, and I'd put prior experience.
Yeah, Carol, go back up a second.
I'm not sure about the formatting on that. Okay.
Where it's if you're going to have a reduction of work in progress cycle to improve cash flow, what was the reduction? You have a percentage, you don't need a number, but you reduced work in progress by X percent. So, many of the leaders I work with are looking for those percentages, and get close. I mean, we can't double check it, but do anytime you can put quantifiable data. I think that's huge. It shows that you're somebody that's key performance driven.
And some of your sentences have periods and some of your sentences do not have periods. I mean,
be consistent.
Yeah, pick one or the other.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay. Do I have 60 seconds to show our other resume, Jeff?
No, we'll just do one today. So
okay, and if that second person, if you have a critical question, reach out to me on LinkedIn. So sorry to your resume today.
So here is Carol's PowerPoint. This is what Carol's LinkedIn profile looks like. If you want to reach out to Carol, you can. Please make sure you send a personal note. Here we go. And then here is Susan's LinkedIn profile. If you want to reach out to Susan, always send a personal note. I get invitations every day, and if there's no personal note with it, I ignore them. So send all of us a personal note if you want to connect. Just tell us you saw us here today. Just tell us something so we know why we should connect with you. For those people on Facebook, if you want to get the sample resume, the sample T cover letter, the sample bio, the smiley faces, the action words, I put a document there. I went and copied a couple screenshots of the action words. They're also in the chat. If you want any of those documents, please just send a resume, send an email to resume@careerdfw.org, and I will let me know what you want, and I will be glad to send those documents to you. Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training every day of the week now, so hopefully you'll join us. Tomorrow morning at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, our speaker is Crystal Yates. She's going to talk about negotiate, closing the deal for what you were worth. So, you know, we talk about resumes and LinkedIn and interviewing, and, you know, so here is closing the deal, another very, very important aspect of the career process. Next Monday for Interviewing Mondays at 1 o'clock, networking, informational interviewing with Walt Glass. On Tuesday, Terry Sullivan will be with us to talk about how to create your LinkedIn brand. It tells your key contacts, who you are, what you do, and how you can help. Please note this event will not be recorded, will not be available on YouTube or the Facebook page. You do have to watch it live if you want to see it next Tuesday. Next Wednesday for our special guest series for interviewing, the 10 biggest mistakes that people make in interviewing with Tony Bashara. The 13-part seminar that we do will start up again in May. So for during the month of April, we've got 4 different guest speakers who will be with us. And then next Thursday, we have a special guest speaker for effective resumes. Andy Cook will be with us. Many of you in the Dallas-Fort Worth area may know of Andy. You've heard of her name, and she'll be with us next Thursday.
And that'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So this session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page. In a couple hours, it will be up on the Career USA YouTube channel. Please follow us on Facebook. When you do, every time we go live, your phone will give you a little buzz. Every time, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, every time we post a new video, you'll find out about the new video, and you can go back and watch them as often as you'd like. On the Career USA YouTube channel, this is what it looks like. Be sure to click on playlist where you see the green arrow, and then don't click on the video down below, but click underneath where it says view full playlist, where the red arrow is. And when you do that, up will come a list of all the different topics or the different dates that we've done of events, and you can get the most current one. The most current one should be on top. If not, click on the little sort button at the very top to get to that. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops, please join the Career USA mailing list. We put out 6 or 7 emails a week. You'll never be spammed, but every day we'll put out the Zoom link, so you'll be able to find out what the event is in the Zoom link for that day to join us. You can send an email to Career USA, the + subscribe @groups.io, and that will be, I'll put that up at the very end here for people to capture. All right, it's time to win a month's use, unlimited use of jobscan.co. What I need for everybody to do is in the chat box, please enter, or in the comment field, please enter a number between 1 and 100. We are playing the Price is Right rules, so it's the 2 closest numbers without going over. So the 2 closest without going over.
People are starting to enter their numbers already.
Oh, it looks like one person got really close, I think. Maybe. I forget. I picked the number yesterday, so I don't know. We'll see if, hopefully they didn't go over. We'll see. Anybody else? All right, let's see here. Our winning number for today is 62. Oh, I was thinking those 60s were winning. So who is below 62? Oops.
There's a 58. There's a 58 and a 56.
Okay, so 58, well, that's the same person.
And a 65.
Priscilla put
Oh, that's the same person. Okay.
Right. So we need
65 is
somebody below
over.
62. Who else is below 62?
I did 58 because at the same time I saw somebody else had it, so I changed mine to 62.
You changed it to 62?
Right, because mine 58 is right at the same time somebody else did
Yeah, all right, so
Yeah, so that's-
58 and what, 43? Is that the other winning?
So I did 62.
Let's see, 62.
Okay. all
Not
right,
62, but 58, because I did
58,
something.
yeah.
All right,
I did 50 something and I looked and I saw somebody else had done the same thing.
all right, so it looks like the two winning numbers were Chuck and Priscilla. If you will, please put your email address in the chat box so I can copy that over and we'll get you signed up. So Priscilla and Chuck, 43 and 58 look like our two winning numbers for today. So if you didn't win today, come back, join us again next week. We'll do this again next week. All right, next slide here. Please note, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Carol's a volunteer, Susan's a volunteer, I'm a volunteer. I've never gotten paid to do any of this over the last 12 and a half years. This is what I do to give back to the community. So we have no full or part-time employees. Career DFW survives on donations. It helps pay for Zoom, it pays for the web names, web hostings, and anything I can't get donated. So please consider making a donation when you get your next job so that we can continue to provide the services that we do. So thank you very much for joining us today. There is that email address if you'd like to join us. Carol and Susan, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.